Okay, I have built my box out of cardboard and tape, a little bit bigger than the finished piece I want. Once I had that, I cut out a piece of paper that was smaller than my box, and then I started drawing my design after I did my sketch. I used two things off of the internet and combined them. I used this eagle for the wings, and I used this gear to create my design. I then went to the light table, flipped my paper over backwards, and I used a washable Crayola marker to trace my design. Now I'm going to fill up my box with clay. So I'm going to make sure I don't have any jewelry on when I'm working with clay, because it likes to get stuck in all of the little nooks and crannies of jewelry. If you can, go ahead and cut your fingernails too. I would suggest it, because your hands are going to get very messy, and especially underneath your fingernails. So I would take a piece of clay, put it in the bottom, spread it across. You need the bottom to be at least an inch thick. I would recommend 2 inches, so you've got plenty of room to indent your design. I'm not going to be able to do 2 inches just because my box I didn't make deep enough. I should have made it deeper. So as I'm filling in the clay, I'm making sure there's no holes in the clay. Because if there's any holes when I go to pour my plaster, it's going to be leaking out. Then on this side, I'm going to add a little more over here. I just kind of maneuver the clay around the best I can to get it level. So I want it all level, otherwise I'm going to have a lopsided piece of decorative cast plaster. I do want the clay to go up on the sides as well. I'm just kind of smoothing off the bottom a little bit here with my fingers, because I don't want that to affect my design. I could also use a rib to smooth it out if my fingers aren't working. Just have to figure out what's the right pressure. The clay that you push up can go on the sides. So I also need to put clay around the sides here. Got to make sure it doesn't make it smaller than what my paper was. So I have my design already just laid out to fill up to the edge of the paper. So I don't want to get too much thickness of clay on the side where I can't get my design in there. And your clay might not go perfectly smooth, and that's okay. Part of cast plaster is a little texture from the clay. Make sure when you're attaching these pieces of clay, they don't leave any gaps. You don't want your plaster pouring out when it gets poured. Take a little bit off of this side, it's a little too thick. Okay, so I'm just going to continue coating the sides with clay, and then I'll come back and show you the next step.